Nothing but good vibes up in here. Grambo grows. What up, GramFam? It's so good to be back on this Sunday. That theme song always gets me hyped up, and like the minute that my little e-nail rig here is good to go, I always start out. What are you guys smoking on out there? Put it in the chat. Let me know what you guys are smoking on. If you were here last week, you know what I'm smoking on. I got this Turpicana. I got the Chem 4 going down. Ooh, nothing but good vibes up in here. Hell yeah. Thanks so much. Shout out to Cannabis Vibe for that awesome theme song. Guys, follow Cannabis Vibe Studio over on Instagram if you're on that. He is awesome. Shout out to Jimmy Anderson. He is at work. He is a hardcore. He is GramFam. He is GramBoLogue, member of the Borg. Thank you guys. If you should want to become a member of the Borg, you can just click that join button right next to the subscribe button. Not subscribed yet? Subscribe, you sons of bitches, and share this video with a friend. What do I always say, fam? I say roll this video up and pass it to a friend. Hells yes. Oh, man. Oh, we got some cream smoothie. We got some Alaskan purple here. Curly, you got a mystery pack? Yikes. Crazy days. Borg, what up, baby? Hell yeah. So cool. Definitely. Oh, you got some fast buds going. That's some auto flower bud. Everyone talks crap on the auto flowers. My first question usually is have you tried auto flowers? Hey, Bartman smoking that Rasta Jeff Irie skunk testers. I actually know exactly what the Irie skunk testers is because a buddy of mine out in Iowa, out in medical prohibition land, as it were, Fontucky. What up, brother? He messaged me. He's like, "Yo, what's up with those Irie skunk testers?" And I was like, "I'll ask Jeff." And so I asked him. And so for anyone that's interested, go over to Irie Direct over there. Support Rasta Jeff. He's doing it right. Good evening to you, my friend. As always, Fontucky, California. I've almost got it, Jimmy. I accept your nomination, and you know what? I think I could win. Let's go, baby. He's smoking some live resume there, David. We all got to do our thing. Crazy Days does nothing but autos. I never finished that. I always ask, like, when people hate autos, I always say, have you smoked autos? Because at the DGC Cup, there was probably, what was it, 75 strains entered at the Cup. And yeah, I think there was probably like 15 of them were autos. And I dare you to figure out which ones. They're almost identical. If they're grown right, it's shown right. I got nothing to follow that up. I am out of it. So I had a date weekend with the Kansas cutie came in. She's becoming one of my favorite people out there. So the girlfriend lives out of town. But Sambo is that sort of character. He fucking doesn't matter. I don't work in Denver. I don't date in Denver. This is just the life I'm living. But I've been working out. I've been lifting. I started jujitsu, and you guys, I ripped a muscle in my hip, and I popped me a little groin hernia. How about that? So, Uncle Grambo's got to have a little surgery action here not the upcoming Wednesday, but the Wednesday following that. And the bakery boss himself, Scotty Real, has been so nice. He's going to come pick me up at the hospital. I'm going to stay at the bakery. Who knows? Maybe I'll be all pilled out. Let's talk. Let's go live. Let's do it. Probably not. I'm gonna be out of it. It's gonna be a whole thing. So it's outpatient surgery. No, yeah, it's no big deal. I had a great, here I got that shit going. I fucked like a beast all weekend. I'm living right. Don't worry about me. Yes, but it wasn't that. It was jujitsu. I talked to the doctor, and he's like, "Have you started anything new recently?" I was like, "Well, I started lifting, but not like a ton." He's like, maybe it could be that. Anything else?" I was like, "I did start jujitsu 6 months ago." And he's like, "Yeah, it's that." So we were doing throws. So he's like, I got this big son bitch, this big 240-pound son bitch on my back, and then I flip him, and it just popped. What are you gonna do? It's a simple surgery. It's gonna be fixed. Here's the thing: when you're friends with JR Token, it's hard to bitch about little surgery. I gotta have outpatient surgery, JR. He's like, yeah, I had my leg removed and my spine cut open and put electrodes in it. And I go, oh yeah, all right, I'll be fine. Right? It's weird. So even though like my former self probably would have bitched about this, me right now, fucking man it up, keep it playa. That's been my motto. I saw a post on Instagram. Then I put it in my stories, and it's from Urban Dictionary, and the phrase is called "keep it playa." And what "keep it playa" means is you do not dwell on anything, you do not let anything get in your craw, you constantly move on, and you do what's right for you. And I'm keeping it player, man. I ain't letting this shit stop me. I'm gonna get sewed up, zip zip. That and like within my little world, both Jaron from Jug Dealers, he had the exact same surgery, but his was way way worse. And High C from the bakery and Scotty Real 420 and all his other stuff. I need to find High C's podcast. I'm gonna start listening to his podcast. He's got an awesome podcast. But guys, for those of you, taking tops this here. I had a weird experience this weekend. I went outside for like 90 seconds before the old Kansas cutie got here, and I was out with my daughter riding her bike, and fucking we're outside for like 90 seconds, and all of a sudden from a car I hear Grambo. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's taking tops. He randomly fucking drove by my house. He didn't even know where I lived. He was just randomly driving. I was just randomly walking. It's got to mean something, right? I don't know what it means, but it's got to mean something. Yeah. He's stunting on Instagram. He's got that Flymobile. I'm gonna get me a Flymobile. I wrecked my car a few weeks ago, as maybe even months ago. Yeah, got in a little accident not too long ago on I-25 and I-70 junction. It was a whole thing. And I was late to the taping of the episode of Jug Dealers with the Hollywood Undead. And so if you guys ever saw that, these are these Hollywood rock stars that were playing Fiddler's Green to like fucking 8,000 people after this interview. And then I was late to the interview. The only time we ever have like guests that are on a fucking schedule, I get freaking tail fished and spun out and sons of bitches. Some guy from Maine. He didn't know it. His car was all full of weed, I'm sure. He was just fucking get a minivan. Dave, don't put that evil on me. Scotty Reel's trying to talk me into getting like a sick ass, like, something that he likes, like a Subaru WRX. He's like, that's what guys that get laid drive, Grambo. I was like, I drive a smashed Jeep. And I already get laid, Scotty Reel. And listen to Ames High Cannabis. Smash that like button, guys. And that's important because last week was maybe, other than the episode with Gabe from Jug Dealers. That was one of the most hard-hitting Grow Talk episodes we've ever had. Hardcore last week was a sick episode. Tropicana Kyle from Tropicana Extracts, fucking our homie out here. You guys are probably have all seen the Tropicana extract boxes. So mine is empty because I smoked it all. I do have three. I got three of the Chem 4 that Kyle was nice enough to give me. So yeah, do you guys know the Tropicana boxes that are famous up there in the bakery in the Jug Den? This is the guy. This is Kyle. He is one of my oldest friends in Colorado. I used to do a show with Tim Martin called John Doe Radio. Put in chat. Who remembers John Doe Radio? Didn't you guys go back that far in cannabis media? Met this guy in 2015. And it's one of those things where, like, when you're in the game of like, I do stand up, I do cannabis media, people fall off. People start podcasts every day. I found out that if you want to be in the top 90th percentile of podcasters, like in as terms of longevity, the amount of podcasts that you have to put out, if you put out 20 podcasts, you're in the top 90% of all podcasters on earth. 90+% of podcasts don't make it past episode 20. Most comedians don't make it past year 2, year 3, and if they do, they just sit and drink and hack it up, but you never make any money from it. So when you're in the game and everyone falls off, and then half a decade plus goes by, 7-8 years goes by, shit, it's 2024, 9 years goes by, you expect, whoever's still in the game, they're awesome. And that's Kyle. I met him, re-hooked up with him at the DGC Cup last year. Was like, yo, dude, what is up? And damn, I thought I flowered in cannabis in the last few years. This motherfucker's going deep. One of the most commented comment of the last episode was that this motherfucker built his greenhouse in his backyard so he could see it from his house. Like fucking, what was that movie? Shit. Psycho? Yeah. Remember Psycho and fucking Homeboy's like got his house and he's peeping through the thing. That's how I picture Kyle is with his plants. He's got a peephole. He doesn't want the plants to know he's looking, but he's looking. Like one of those situations. I bet it. I bet it's not too far off. What up? What up, brother? We just getting started. You ain't late. Welcome in. So yeah, guys, if you weren't there last week, we got Age Gators, one of the best episodes that we've had. So because we knew we were gonna we scheduled it already, man. So we got him in. I'll bring stuff like that in. So yeah, if you want to know more, you can after this episode. No one saw it. It got buried by YouTube. So yeah, let's take some dabs and get on to it. So yeah, let's welcome in my good buddy, Topicals Kyle.
What's up, guys? Happy to be back. Thanks, Grambo. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're my second ever returning get. Like I've had multiple, but I never do doubles in a row.
Back to
Gabe
back.
was a double. Gabe was a double, and now you're my second double.
I love it.
You're
Love
in
it.
the Hall of Fame already, my friend.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, speaking of my greenhouse, so I have a window you can see behind me. It's my office that I can see all my veg plants. And then in my kitchen, which is behind the vacuum on the wall over there, there's another window that looks in. So you can cook and, look at your plants and be working.
Are those plants? Well, we won't say. We don't want to give YouTube any fucking ideas there. But yeah, it was an interesting week. I told a story. I ran into Tops so randomly. I was taking my daughter for a bike ride, and we're down the street, and all of a sudden I hear Grambo, and it's Tops driving his new car. Not, he's just not his neighborhood. Yo, what up, Scott? Welcome, Gramborg. And so I said, I was like, I don't know what it means, but it means something. So the fact that I saw Tops on Friday, then I run into, and then I have you back on Sunday. I feel like, whatever we're doing right now, Kyle, like the wind's at our back. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. It's funny. Tops actually told me about that. He was like, I was just driving down the street and I look over and I was like, is that Grambo? And yeah, just one of those like 1 in a million chances, right? That you're driving anywhere in Denver.
I don't ever go outside. I don't ever see the sun. So the fact that I was outside and one of my closest friends. I only have comedian friends and weed friends, so I shouldn't qualify it. Just one of my friends, one of my good friends, who I only learned his actual name when you and him came in to 5-8, and they're like, "Oh, Shane and Kyle's coming."
Yeah, like,
oh yeah, Kyle's coming. Sweet. Who the fuck's Shane?
Yeah, who's Shane? What's going on here?
Who the hell's that?
His name's Tops.
Yeah, I don't even think about it, man. I hang out. One of my friends in comedy, his name's Spaghetti Jake. Whatever, man.
Yeah, whatever, right? You don't ask questions. That's the way it goes.
Yo, Cannabis Vibe just walked in. Good to see you. That is the man that made the theme song. Of course. It's we gotta hang out more. I've been getting, I was talking with Sicko Grows the other day. Like, what's your smoking? We'll get into growing, but as far as smoking, when do you start your day with dabs? I'm thinking
me?
about
so it depends.
Going later in the day.
Yeah, oh yeah, always for me. I mean, I have a lot of work to do, and I'm a big believer too, like in the work that I do, to smoke to get high and not smoke to feel normal. I've been around weed so much for the past 15 years that it's I guess like hype factor around it's kind of died down, and I've realized how it's affected me personally. So for me, it's usually later in the day. It's not usually first thing in the morning, and I like to try my products and then know what the effect is. You know what I mean? Versus kind of being all jumbled up, and that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I don't, I used to dab all day, every day, wake up, dab, go to sleep, dab, wake up in the middle of the night, dab. And I just more recently, I've been so busy that I haven't had, nearly the time to indulge as much as I'd like to, honestly. Just because dude, I just built a new lab, been just grinding constantly. And I notice if I do smoke a strain that makes me feel overwhelmed, that I just don't get as much done. So for me, it's more of a nighttime thing. But I used to, smoke all day, every day. And I do it more for a tolerance, because with dabs, I can't smoke flower and then feel the effect, if that makes sense. It's kind of everything just gets oh yeah, I'm high. It's not oh, I'm really energetic from this, or I'm, really sleepy, or I'm, whatever. So yeah, that's just me personally. Obviously, you know, I feel like everyone um, consumes as much as they can, and for me, it's a little bit different just because I'm around it so much. You know, I equate it to like I work at, you know, a top level distillery. I'm making vodka, or I'm making, you know, rum, or I'm making anything like that, and
Right.
I'm slamming drinks on the, you know, production line basically. So I try to like actually feel the medicinal effects of what I make, and that helps me determine too, like, yeah, the terps smell great, the, you know, the bud looks great bag appeal wise, but it's like, you know, DJ Short, he breeds for effect. And a lot of the stuff that I run, I try to run for the trifecta of, like, you know, for extracts, it doesn't really matter what it looks like, especially like a lot of the old school stuff that I run. Like the Trinity looks terrible. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not very bag appealy, but it gets you just absolutely ripped. So, and it's the same with a lot of the hazes, the sativas, you know, they're not pretty plants. It's not like I could sell the flower, you know? So yeah,
Hmm.
it's way more for me terps and effect than it is, you know, anything else in my grow.
That's and that's very evident. One of the things I'd say, if you guys do get some Tropicana extract, and I recommend that you do hit up Kyle or Tops to get some of this extract. It's it gets so layery, like it separates into layers. You got to stir this stuff, man. It just gets like everyone's like, oh, it's so thin. It's like, oh, it's not thin. It's like it'll be sugar on the bottom if you don't stir it. So you got to make sure you stir that Tropicana.
And that's part, actually, I meant to say this on the last episode. I rewatched it and realized there was a bunch of stuff I missed, but kind of the aura around Tropicana, obviously, you know, we can have fun with the brand. We're not riding on any, you know, knockoff. Obviously, it's a, you know, parody, but at the same time, what kind of inspired it was the fact that I make very like terpy and wet extracts. I try not to put out anything that's dry. So a lot of the, you know, stuff that I'm running and growing has terp layers that are huge in mason jars. I mean, you have to, like you said, you
Oh,
have
I
to
can't even
stir them up
imagine.
like crazy to be able to actually dose them out in the jar, in the small jars. So yeah, it was like, oh, you know, juice kind of is what I equated it to. So it's on brand for sure, you know.
It's so funny. Today, I picked up my daughter for a little bit. We were going to go to the aquarium, and she had this little jar of Tropicana orange juice. And it was so funny. Like, it's just it's another one of those little coincidences. If people watch this show, I talk about these coincidences. Any one doesn't mean anything, but 10 a day, every day means something. And so I literally was like, "Ah, I'm seeing Kyle tonight. Look at that." I
Yeah,
hadn't
there you
seen
go.
Tropicana in years.
Really? Yeah, they have a new logo too. I mean, you know, I use the old like early 2000s logo just to play it safer too. I don't want it to be like, you know, straight copying what they're doing. Like I said, it's really parody. A lot of people hate on it because they think it's not original, but you know, Terp and Canna, I just kind of I thought it was perfect. So,
It's
and
too
we
perfect.
can have fun with what we're doing, you know, like you don't see this in a, you know, dispensary because they'd get their asses handed to them by, you know,
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
Tropicana's lawyers. So for us, you know, it's all basically fun. It's not, you know, I'm not sitting
yeah.
here saying, hey, I'm gonna take this and, you know, put this into a dispensary or anything like that. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, it's, you know, it's cheesy or whatever. And that was the point, you know. Honestly, it was just to have fun with it, and the extracts quality speaks for itself, you know.
Yeah, that's the I did here it's still ongoing if anyone's in Colorado and wants to see a good comedy game show. My old co-host Corey Stevens now runs it, but I started a game show called Punchline Jeopardy, right? And it's like we give you the setup to a joke, you buzz in with the punchline. They improv the punchline, you know. And people would always be like, "Aren't you worried about getting sued by Jeopardy?" I was like, "Once Jeopardy has heard of me, I've already won. I'm
Totally.
blowing up, you know. I'm blowing the fuck up that Jeopardy cares. So yeah, once Tropicana here's a or Tropic. See, I can't even say
Dude, I
it's
messed it up
You've
earlier too.
ruined it
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. No, totally.
Yeah, I
I do it all the
Tropicana.
time. Yeah, and I, you know,
Well,
the
and
thing is that I think that they'll understand, like, you know, we're not trying to do crazy big things with this. Like, this is really a craft, you know, fun thing. It's not, you know, something that I'm trying to like skate the lines, you know, in the legal world and really blow it up as a brand. So anyway,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah, damn right, Billabong. That's right. That's what
Yeah.
I live by, man. I don't, asking for permission got me nowhere always in life. Whether it's, can I grow in your rental house or, whatever. So
So he asked how someone can get the Tropicana without social media. I wouldn't know the answer to that, so I'm glad I got the man here. How do
yeah,
they?
I
They don't.
mean, I'd say
You
try
should
to
get a.
contact Taking Tops, man.
You should
Taking
get
Tops is the main.
Tropicana man at Gmail or something. You should see
Yeah,
if,
I mean, I can. He doesn't have social media shit. You can hit up Turpicana at proton.me and we'll take care of you.
proton.me. Look at you.
Yeah.
Positively charged ionic particles.
No, just more secure email as far as, everything.
Fair enough. Hell yeah, dude. So yeah, it was a that's interesting. The question of the because I'm always interested in like once people cross a certain age, I'm really interested in their opinion on wake and bake sort of stuff. And I expected that I was going to get a lot of blowback when I was saying, yeah, I'm thinking about like slowing down and maybe smoking towards the evenings. And it's like most all the hardcore people I'm talking to, they're like, yeah. And if you still can wake and bake and function and be social, God bless you. I get so thinky. I just think.
I get
That's all
stuck,
I get
dude.
done.
That's what I get. It's like not even especially with extracts. Like flower's a little bit different for me depending on the strain, but like with extracts, I'll smoke in the morning and just be like, oh God, I have the whole day ahead of me, and then kind of get overwhelmed.
Yeah, no. So yeah, Top says just find a way to message or rewind and hit that email because it's definitely worth it, man. It's one of those things. Even if I didn't know you, even if hadn't tried it, I would support anyone who's doing it the way that you're doing it. It is it's impossible to exist in the dispensaries. It's funny, like what you said about the being in the dispensaries and getting their balls knocked in. It reminded me of like Reefer's peanut butter cups. You
Oh
remember
yeah,
that when
for
you
sure.
go to the dispensary and it was all cannabis puns. You know, it was
Yeah, I
hilarious.
mean that was the fun time though for me, right? So I'm like still kind of living in that era of like regulation has kind of killed the creativity and has made a lot of things robotic, whether it's growing or, paying employees $15 an hour to run a massive cultivation or whatever it is, right? So like the people
Mhm.
who I first was involved with and who I learned from, just from being around, they had a lot of fun with this and it was a lifestyle. It wasn't like, a job. It was, there's a life and that's it. And we're still doing that. And I think it's very rare because, most of the people that I know that were doing this, they've either sold out or they've tried to go big and go legal and they've gotten their asses handed to them from, regulatory fees to, you know, just everything, man. So for us, it's like we can have fun, we can do what we're doing, we can manage it on the scale we're doing it at, and not overwhelm ourselves or sacrifice quality for, um, the sake of making money and just going too big. That's what I see everyone do. Like I think I spoke about it last episode with Green Dot Labs, where at first they were just putting out the best shit on the market, hands down, no question, all single source, black label. And then they went big, and the quality, in my opinion, went down just because they had different labs, they had different people running it. And no matter what, like if you're running a lab, you can follow SOPs, but it takes a specific person to know, hey, this is exactly how much gas to run through, or this is what I should do with this strain, or this is how I should blend these, or whatever it may be. So yeah, there's a lot of technicality when it comes to why we do what we do in a certain way, and then why we don't want to go as big as some of these other people have because of quality and making sure that we can control everything and I don't have to rely on someone else to learn the method necessarily.
That's probably it. Gabe always says because Gabe from Jug Dealers is he's a consultant, so he'll go like commercially. So if you guys anybody out there, I mention it. If you want, hit up G Money Love. And yeah, he always says he'll come consult on your grow or even a home grow if it's a situation where you're big enough, wink wink style. Gabe's a player, and yeah,
Yeah,
I
Gabe's the
I took
man,
it.
dude. He's smart as fuck.
Yes. How long you known Gabe for?
Honestly, not that long. I should have known. I probably was with him, here and there,
That's
but
surprising.
it's
He knows everybody.
he
It's
knows all the same people I know, dude. Like I'll get with him and we'll just be like, I'll be like, this
yeah.
person, this person. I don't know. We just didn't cross paths early. I was in yeah, I don't know, just I guess the different circles and than he was. He see the thing with Gabe is that he's older than I am. So, and I hung out with a lot of the older people as well, but um, there was like, I guess, crews of people back in the day where you would all run together, you'd all sell each other's product, and you wouldn't really go outside of your circle. You would have crossover though, so you would know like bike, for example, right? Like how many different people in different circles know bike? A lot of people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just, with Gabe, it's weird because I was at Chlorophyll all the time and 5'8", and he wasn't really involved with them back then. So if he was around Chlorophyll or any of those other spots back in the day, then I probably would have hung out with him more. But yeah, Gabe's a G. He's smart, and he definitely knows his shit, and he's done a lot
You
of
know,
big
that's
consulting, dude. I mean, big time stuff. So
we
hats off
should
to
get
him.
we should line up because he's never been on Dude Grows and you've never been on Dude Grows. So maybe it'd be awesome to get both of you guys on
I'd
sometime.
love
Have
to, man. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and I even I watch Jug Dealers, dude, just because it's like all the stuff that I'm running, and um, I even learn something sometimes. It's I don't know everything, obviously. Um, so with that said, like Jaron and Gabe run, and you obviously run the show, and you put out like 45 minutes to an hour of just solid info. So
Yeah.
that's why I love
Jaron,
Jug Dealers.
it's why it's on the front of my head because Jaron is actually on Wednesday on Dude Grows. So that's inside
Awesome.
information for all you DGC listening. So yeah, fuck. And Scotty said like he'll probably pop in. He was like, dude, I think the Kyle episode was your best episode ever. Like we got to get him on. I
Oh,
said,
dude, I
fucking,
love
I
Scotty.
agree.
Scotty's the man.
Yes.
He's, the Dude Grow show is awesome. I mean, I had a great time at the DGC Cup. That was like throwback vibes completely to like being able to do events and not feel like I'm just at a, MJ BizCon and just like, constantly being sold stuff. It was actually a vibe. And
Right.
obviously, Tops came in second, and we, had a booth right next to each other. And I was pumped for him. That was a big win right there.
Yeah, that was awesome. We're all going to MJ BizCon. And I went there last year and it was hilarious. Like every booth was so square, yet like our brother Trip was just dabbing throughout the whole fucking thing. And
For
we're just
sure.
sitting there doing our things. Like those guys are all such gangsters.
Yeah, my issue with MJ BizCon now is more that it's like super commercial and
It's beyond commercial. I don't know when the
yeah.
last time I went was last year. And first of all, it is just nothing but automatic joint rolling machines everywhere.
Yeah.
The
Well,
cultivation section was tiny.
and the Chinese people coming around taking photos of your stuff and taking it back and copying it,
Yeah, that's
getting it knocked
that
off
was
pretty much,
that
dude.
was a thing, dude.
It
You
is.
would yeah, just
I
knock
did
off. It's
for me,
hilarious.
um, I remember the industry back in the day when, there wasn't that much China glass. And if it was China glass, you knew it right away. You're like, all right, this is just trash, super thin and, usually
Yeah.
fumed and just terrible. So nowadays they've gotten damn good, dude. I remember when Hitman changed all of his production over to China, and I was like, holy fuck, like the Dabachinos, and I think it was like 2016 or something like that.
Just asked if Brother Trip is real. Brother Trip is legally real,
Legally.
but legally speaking. We've
So,
all done some things. That's what the thing that upsets me the most about the journey of cannabis that we've all been on. Nothing that would surprise anybody. It's just like I'm a gentle soul. I hang out with all these gentle souls. Like everyone is just like nonviolent, super chill, the nicest people. And then all of us is like, oh yeah, I remember my house. I've been raided 7 times. I've been in jail 3 times. Yeah, I had a felony in fucking Mississippi. Like we all have this paper that just like on paper we all look like assholes, but like really like that's why I'm so caught in between. Like so this girl that I'm dating, as I call her, the Kansas cutie to keep her
the Kansas cutie.
anonymity. Yeah, and so she lives in Kansas. She just left. And so for 2.5 hours of her drive, her little cartridge in her back seat was legal. And then she crosses an imaginary border, and all of a sudden it's like thumb up the ass, you're going to jail, like that level of bullshit in Kansas. And when I was at the Emerald Cup, these guys were selling, and I saw a bunch of people wearing it. It said, "Make weed illegal again." And I was just like,
Yeah.
man, I was like, I get that it's like we're all cool and everything, but like that's not a joke. People's doors are still getting kicked in. So stop with the fucking make weed. I get it's not the best it could be, but especially for us in Colorado, man, it's legalization's been pretty good for most of us. I'm pretty comfortable around police now, you know.
Yeah, you kind of like the trick with that, man. Like, so, like, I'll drive to Oklahoma for Cowboy Cup, and a bunch. Got a bunch of equipment there this past year, but I have to go through New Mexico, which is legal, and then I have to go through Texas, and Texas is, as you know, not legal. So, um, you kind of have to just be in the mindset of like not worrying about getting pulled over or like constantly like it's one of those things you have to like psych yourself out on saying like I'm not doing anything wrong, and I've
Yeah.
never had an issue. Like, I've been pulled over dozens of times in my life. Like, when I first came to Colorado, I got pulled over as soon as I went over the border. And if you act sketchy and you act like shady, they're gonna question you, and they're gonna usually do something. But I don't know, if you're confident and you have answers to their questions, like where are you going and everything else. And yeah, you shouldn't have an issue, obviously.
And also don't talk more, to save the minimum you have to,
Yeah,
like
but
just
not in a
knowing
sketchy
cops,
way. Like, don't,
not
like,
in a
you know what I
sketchy
mean?
way,
Like, I feel like
but
that's where
instead of
most people mess up. Like,
it's like,
they're
where are you
just
coming
like,
from? It's like, well, I was in a hotel in Nebraska and I left 3 days ago and I can't. It's like, I'm coming from fucking Omaha, man. Like, just be
yeah,
honest, say the things, don't lie, because they'll Google it. Like they'll,
for
like, if you
sure.
say something like, what was the address of the place you went, and then so you got to be as honest as humanly possible too. We could
Yeah,
have a
and be
whole
confident.
nether thing
Don't
about
like
that.
don't sit there and be like, I don't know, or none of your business, or if you as soon as you give them attitude, they're gonna play hardball with you. So I've always, been a big believer in like being honest, obviously, but also being confident and saying, yeah, this is exactly what I'm doing and where I'm coming from and where I'm going, and that's it. And don't have an attitude. I've never
And
been in
then,
trouble on a traffic stop. Knock on wood, obviously, but
well, and then once the jig is up and you got, shut up and get a lawyer. Like, literally, don't say,
there you go.
even I know that. And then I got messed with by the Denver police. They showed up and like accused me of like my not they didn't accuse me of anything. They actually accused my car of like being in a chase or something when I was up on camera. There's an episode of Dude Grows that is filmed on a Wednesday when I'm supposedly in a chase. And like, so obviously I got a lawyer and it all like went away and I got my car back and they charged me like $900 for impound. So I don't know how much I got away with anything, sons of bitches. But yeah, they like things can happen that shadily. And I was talking, and that all my talking ended up because I knew I was innocent. I was like, dude, I was there and I was doing this and that. It ended up being that like it took so much longer because like they had to pour over everything I said and do all sorts of like bullshit. Where if I just would have shut my mouth, it probably would have been over in like a month because the 900 wasn't a fee. It was just impound. They put my damn car in the impound. And so yeah, dude, like I don't know, this is my I'm getting on a rant here. So also full disclosure, I mentioned before I tore a muscle in my hip in jujitsu a little while ago. I
Oh,
have to have
wow.
surgery in like 2 weeks to fix like a herniated groin muscle tear. It's is no bueno. So I'm a little bit extra high on edibles tonight. So if I'm a
Let's
little
go.
rambly,
That's awesome. Oh,
you
how
know,
long have you been doing jujitsu for?
6 months. I got
Okay.
into it, yeah, a little while ago. I'm still
It's a good
single stripe
workout.
because I'm so busy. But yeah, the main thing was that I wanted to get the workout in, and then I got a 5-year-old daughter, so I always want to make sure if some knuckleheads being silly, I can choke them out and get dip out.
The thing with jujitsu is a lot of people don't realize, like, I did jujitsu for years, man, and
Oh
it
wow,
takes a
cool.
long time to actually, number one, get good, and number two, if you're going to a good gym, you're not going to get your stripes and your belts quick. It takes decades to get even a brown belt at a good gym.
Yeah.
So, or a
Yeah.
purple belt, either one.
I joined up with Easton, so they is pretty highly recommended. I've been having a good experience with them, and it's been absolutely wonderful in every single way. And then I went up in sizes of lifting and stuff the same time as we were doing like hip throws. So it's like get them there, post up, and flip them,
Oh yeah.
And then it was that night. My partner was a big boy, and yeah, I know.
Have you been practicing like break falls and things like that as well?
Yeah, oh yeah, and I really excel at it. I'm a guitar player, former like pro poker player. I'm an editor. I really thrive on like they'll be like, all right, fucking stab him in the heart, overhand grip. It's like, all right, stab in the heart, overhand grip. It's like you put the seatbelt on them, then you put the lap belt at them, jack up the car. They have all these like little
Oh
sayings and
yeah.
everything.
So
And so
you're
I
doing a
love
little
it.
bit of judo too, then, if you're doing stand up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's weird because like it's so free flowing that when you do BJJ classes, it's like it's not like I did taekwondo as a kid, and it was very regimented. Class would be like you have to go every 7 days a week if you want it to be like linear. It's like some days you're just doing the same shit you did a few days ago, just over and over,
Yeah,
drilling it. How do you
repetition for
stand?
sure.
The hardest thing for me is been the standing, like doing the grapplers get ups and stuff. My
Oh
knees
yeah.
suck from skateboarding, so like I've been like having to figure that out.
So Tops reminded me to tell a quick story about police and pullovers. So
All right.
we went to Washington State this past fall to get a bunch of extraction equipment, and we drove like I think it was like 23 hours. I was on Adam's show, both of us were before this trip, so I ended up sleeping at Adam's studio that night and left
Oh
at like
damn.
yeah, dude, I slept on like the couch. It was the most uncomfortable thing ever, but long story short, Tops got sick from the barbecue there. And
Oh
we
no
were
way.
leaving the
The
next
barbecue's so
morning.
good.
It is so good, but for some reason he got sick. Then Vinny will argue that it wasn't his barbecue, but there was nothing else that it could have been at that point. So, and I got a little bit sick too, but I wasn't like, throwing up and it felt like I was dying. So I had a van that I rented from Enterprise and we drove out there. Tops could not drive. He couldn't do anything but just sit in the back seat and moan the entire time how much pain he was in and how sick he was. So we went to see my buddy Tanner, who runs a massive distillate lab I think it's the largest in the state of Washington. They're pumping out hundreds of kilos a day of distillate,
Oh
and
my god.
I went to get a bunch of equipment, and we're on our way back, and we're driving up the highway in Washington, and I'm speeding. Obviously, we have a 23-hour drive. We have 2 dab rigs, and
Jesus.
we're smoking, and we have a bunch of extraction equipment in the back of the van that's covered by moving blankets, luckily. And anyway, I pull up on this cop, and I didn't realize it was a cop at the time because I think he was just unmarked, and anyway, we get pulled over in Washington, and the cops like, what are you? Like, where are you going? What's going on? And I was like, oh, we're just here grabbing some equipment and heading back to Colorado. And he's like, well, you better be careful here. The way that you pulled up on me, I thought you were a gang member. And we went to a place called Tacoma, which is, the cop says, where are you coming from? And I said Tacoma. He's like, oh, to Compton. And I was like, oh shit. And basically it was really ghetto area, and the cop was just like gave me a warning after I told him. I just told him what he wanted to hear, basically. And it was definitely a sketchy situation because at the end of the day, we were definitely smoking and definitely had a lot of equipment in the vehicle. And yeah, that was a fun trip, man. But yeah, we got pulled over on the way to Washington State, or on the way back to Colorado from Washington State. And it was definitely a moment where Tops was like, "Holy shit! Like, what the fuck just happened? We're getting pulled over." You know?
I'm having like I'm tripped out right now. Who else just saw this go down with Cannabis Vibe? Cannabis Vibe writes Wisconsin into chat like 10 seconds before you said to Compton.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Tops can
How does it
verify that's what he said it was. So
how does how do
craziness.
two people do uh, geographical Compton puns independently of
I
each
don't
other
know. I
in
don't
10
know.
seconds.
I
How
don't
does
know.
the coincidence, Kyle? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
crazy.
understand what is going on, but I notice and I go, I don't know what it means. But two
Yeah.
people doing geographical Compton puns in 10 seconds is a weird thing to have
That
happen.
dude, it was what happened though. The guy, I didn't know it was called to
Yeah.
Compton. I didn't even know it was a sketchy area, but apparently it was because my buddy lives in the water, and where he lives is pretty nice, but I guess there's a lot of gang activity there, and he said, watch out for
Wow. And
cartel and
so
watch
what
out for.
about you pulling up seemed like a gang member?
I honestly I don't know, just the way that I was driving and the fact it was a rental, I think. He
Huh.
just, got sketched out. So yeah, Tops was definitely freaking out. And I had to tell him like,
Wow.
dude, I got this. Don't worry. This is not, I'm not, I wasn't, I don't get worried getting pulled over because I usually am not doing anything dumb. How was I dressed? I was actually dressed pretty nice. I mean, I don't ever dress like a stoner. I try not to because I try to be a little bit different as far as like, wearing weed clothing and things like that. Obviously, I'll wear like New Millennium gear and things like that. But yeah, no, I don't profile myself as a weed guy. If you see me out in public, you can ask Tops. Like I usually look like I play like golf or something. It's just just the way that I usually dress, and
I mean, the
yeah,
way you're dressed right now is I would say, is the unofficial uniform of Denver stoners, at
for sure.
least.
Yeah.
Ball cap and hoodie.
I just won't wear like shirts that have like weed leaves on them, or like, it's just, to me it's like kind of tacky. Like, and not that I'm hating
Yeah.
on it. It's just it's old school like profiling. There you go. Yeah. I would
But
probably
this is
wear
my
that.
buddy.
I would wear that.
This is my buddy. This is Kanakuya. And he has a podcast that is a bunch of Hispanic dudes that are like, I essentially assume, I don't want to misquote him. I assume Aztec imagery. It feels very Aztecian, but yeah, the Kanakuya. Check those guys out. It's an awesome podcast. He's a stand-up comedian and cannabis content creator. So obviously we became best friends instantly.
That's dope. Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of learned how to dress based on running a bunch of rental houses and doing, stuff where I didn't want people looking at me and then automatically profiling me and saying, "Hey, he's up to something in there. He's doing whatever," and that's kind of where it stems from for me. It's not like not that I don't like the clothing, it's that I don't like people knowing what I'm doing or profiling me on the spot. So,
Yes, Scotty Real has it's why he wrote Masonic Seeds is in Compton, and it's like, oh, Masonic, I see what's going on
yeah.
around here. But Scotty actually does song parodies. He like writes parody songs, and he would like pay people to like make them in. And he's got this song about like, I will like how he's gonna blow up this house. He's like, just because I look like an accountant doesn't mean I don't remember the lyrics, but the whole thing is exactly that. Like, just because I look like accountant doesn't mean I'm not gonna blow up your home.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's I don't know. I'm a big fan of being a chameleon in that aspect of, I don't know, with what I've done for so long, it's not been, I don't know, it's not been cool to dress like I'm just, consuming, because I'm doing a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not wearing hippie stuff, and you're not wearing weed leaves, it's a more I've noticed it's an age thing a lot too. Like me at 25, just, he looks shady. Me at 40, I'm a boring dad going about my business. Get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're just smoking and hanging out. You don't have to worry about it. So yeah, like for me, it's no judgment. Obviously, I know Tops wears a lot of that stuff, and it's
Yeah.
not my style. You can ask him. I look like I came from a country club usually.
So one of us dropped there for a second. So I
Yeah,
missed
it's all
whatever the
good.
last thing you said was.
Oh, I said I look like I usually just came from a country club. That's how I look. That's
Nice.
my usual dress. You see me at 5'8",
Yeah. Well, fucking, you see how I dress. I dress like I'm a wannabe fucking player.
Yeah, no, first you are a player. Come on.
Come on, get out of here.
So I
Fucking
did
Scotty Real.
I did
Welcome,
speak to
buddy.
Bo too. Bo called me. I spoke to him for like an hour the other day because he was supposed to be at 5'8" when I came up there last, and he was really impressed, man, with the everything I brought. He had some questions about clones that I brought too, and I brought him a bunch of fire. But he said that he has a lot of the new formulations for me to test. A new Thunder Bloom that's different than the one that they're trialing now, um, and a few other products too. So I'm really pumped to get going on that stuff. And
Hell
you know,
yeah.
him and Neil are doing small batch stuff up there that they need people to test, you know, that obviously within a certain setting that know what they're doing. But I, you know, couldn't be happier to be working with them and really getting things dialed and then giving them feedback on, you know, what works or what differences I see between the different products. Because Neil is a one of a kind, you know, kind of guy. He's a genius.
Yeah, the everyone is super hyped around the office because finally the Rizium slash Rhizium debate. There's still debate on how they want it pronounced, Rizium, Rhizium,
It's
whichever it is.
it's Rizium, dude. It's like Rhizosphere. But
Yeah,
Rizium, Silicium, like I don't know. I like
fair
Rizzy
enough.
versus.
But it just came out on the Jug Dealers shop. So if you guys want to head over to jugdealers.shop, that is where you'll find Silicium, Rizium. You can get bottles for like $20. It's good stuff. I haven't used the Rizium yet, but
No,
I'm
it's
a Silicium junkie. Like I hate silica, man. Just mixing silica into my res. I don't know if I'm an idiot or if just maybe my water's weird. I don't know what it is, but I just can never not get some fallout when I have silica in the mix. Of foliating silica has literally changed my life. It's one of the only silicas, the mono, you can actually foliar. I love it. And they say mix it with the Rhizium. I already forgot what you said. Which one?
I
Rise? You're a
I
Rise
don't
guy.
I'm a Riz guy. I don't know. I just it's Rizium sounds better to me. I mean, I can see why it's tomato. I don't really, you know,
Yeah.
I don't care
I
either way.
say the one point I put to them. So the kids these days, their way of saying charisma is that a guy has the riz. That's like what all the young punks say when someone's a player. He's like, oh, he's got the riz. So I was like, Rizium kind of makes it seem like it's a baller product these days, just given the modern vernacular.
Yeah, for sure. So the guy had a question about what EC I'm running. So with the full mix with Thunderbloom and with Green Sensation, you know, this is with New Mill Base, this is with PK Appetite, this is with um, Ruby, this is with Carbo. All the products I'm running about a 3 EC. You know, anywhere from it depends on where I'm at in flower, but anywhere from 1900 to 2100 ppm on the 700 scale. So I'm not, you know, it's crazy because a lot of guys are running crazy high EC, but they're using things like Athena and you know base salts, and it's a totally different ball game. You know, running EC that high when you're running different, you know, nutrients. So what's really key with the new mill is the biostimulants and the other actives that are in the bottle. And you're really buying New Millennium for what's not written on the bottle versus what is written on the bottle. And I think that's a key point. You know, about 3 EC is where I'm at roughly. And I'll go a little bit higher, don't get me wrong, but I try when I'm testing a lot of these products, especially when I'm doing like Thunderbloom and Green Sensation. I'm trying my best to not go overboard and you know, ruin things essentially. And next run, I'm going to build it up a little bit higher than that. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I know some guys are running like, you know, close to 5 EC using like exotic ag or Athena or you know anything that's strictly synthetic salt base.
Yeah, that's interesting. So one of the things that I had written down that I can't remember. I think we talked about pretty much a lot of different stuff about in the actual like nutrient program and everything, and running the plants. What about drying and curing? I always was like this advocate, yeah, of my whole life. It's like the most important part of, like, as long as you have all your inputs in and everything's dialed in, after, you know, it is like environment's the most important part, but right after all that sort of stuff, drying and curing, man, you can shit the bed right before the finish line. And so after seeing your nugs, I was like, definitely, I can't believe I didn't touch on that last week. What are your thoughts on trimming, drying, curing. What's the most important part? You wet trim, dry trim. Like once you decide to harvest, let them use winter, and then take me from winter to smoke.
Okay, so obviously winter, depending on how many weeks you're running, winter's the week before flush. I usually will
We're
flush a
talking
week.
winter frost.
Yeah, winter
Him
frost.
being a
So
new millennium guy. That's the secret weapon, the gateway jug.
yeah, so for me, I'll go winter, and then I'll usually flush depending on like what I'm running in the room. Just some strains need just a little bit longer, obviously, but usually I'm running winter, week 9, and I'll usually take my plant 65 days,
Okay.
sometimes 70, just depending on what I'm running. So with that said, I'll either week 8, week 9, use winter, just depending on if I'm trying to get a quick crop or not, and then I'll flush. And when I flush, obviously I'm in cocoa. I'm using the Scientetics cocoa, the 70/30 blend, which is super cool because what it is basically, there's no perlite. It's just cocoa, and then
The
basically
cocoa chips.
cocoa chips. And I
Yeah.
I've found that they hold moisture and retain moisture way better than what I was using before, which was the Plagrand 70/30 blend with perlite. So there's no perlite. It's just cocoa and cocoa chips, and the drainage is phenomenal. But when I flush, I try to really like actually flush when I'm watering. So like I will water my pots to where they are just gushing water out of them to try to wash out all the residual salts or whatever else is built up in there. um, and obviously dry back takes a little bit longer when you do that, but what I found obviously is that it actually will clean what you have in the soil. A lot of people will just water them with straight water when there's still a bunch of residual in there. So that's part of what I do is make sure that everything is actually flushed out of the pots. And I can do that because I have drain to waste tables, rolling benches and tables where if you're in drain trays, it's a little bit harder. I've done that in the past, and then I have to go around with the shop vac and clean up all the water, and it's a pain in the ass. But I've noticed a big difference in flush time and actually the plants finishing and fading, and um, losing basically the life that they have from the residual that's in the pot. So once that's done, I will obviously chop the plants. I will do a full plant hang. I used to do it where I would break up the branches, but it just becomes more of a pain in the ass when you go to actually break them down for trimming. So I try to just hang them full, let them dry. And the key is I have a very special dry room that's built, um, that's fully spray foam insulated, and I mean thick, like it's like 8-inch spray foam on the walls, to where I can keep them at a certain humidity and really slow dry, which locks the terps in and then gives you that sticky bud, which in Colorado, we're known as the state that has the Colorado crisp, where all your weed is just dry. Nobody
Yeah.
actually knows how to cure it properly here. So when I'm curing, or just drying in general, I'll usually go a week and a half to 2 weeks on the dry. And I can do that because I can maintain humidity at a very specific level, in a room that's completely enclosed and sealed, to where there's not an issue with basically getting too dry. And a lot of people have really fluctuating dry rooms here in Colorado. And I think that's my biggest problem with Colorado, is that the most of the weed here that's grown is super fire if done properly. But where the people get screwed is just the dry, and they either dry too quickly, and then dry their bud out to where they lose a bunch of terps. And that's really what happens. So as far as trimming, dry trim only. I'll defan everything. I'll take all the fan leaves off before I hang dry them, and I mean every single fan leaf.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I'll leave the ones on the buds that are not fan leaves. They're just basically covered in trichomes, and that'll be good trim. But I'm a big believer in hand trim. Obviously, there's maybe a few machines that are good. Like I do have a Green Bros Model M. Green Bros is great, but it takes getting very, very dialed in. So the reason I do like Green Bros is because it will preserve the bud if you actually run it properly, but it'll mess things up if you keep it either too moist or too dry. So it requires that very specific dryness level. Yeah, the one on the left, the hydro builder is what I have. And the thing with machine trimming is like if you're running a bunch of lights and you don't have the crew or you don't have the time, it's really the only option. Um, but I prefer hand trimming. It's not even a comparison really. But Green Bros does work good. Like I said, the only issue is knowing how to run the machine, what speed to run it on, and some strains don't like it, obviously. The key with the Green Bros is getting it dry enough to where you can rehydrate the bud if you need to, and then run fans on the outsides of the leaves to where the outsides of the leaves get crispy, but the bud's not going to get eaten by the machine. So if anyone has a Green Bros, that's really the way to do it. You want to, you know,
Wow.
rehydrate it. Now, a lot of people in Colorado too are using like Bovita packs, and I learned a long time ago that you don't want to use anything like that because what it does is it releases corrosive salts into your flower that makes it taste off. So I used to use them. They're great for cigars. They're great for other things. However, if you're really trying to rehydrate, you can use the old shower tech method where you create a really humid environment in your bathroom or somewhere that's clean and let your buds sit in bags or in metal bins. So the real key with curing flour is you don't want to use plastic if you can help it. What I've learned over the years is that there's a brand called Barron's, Behrens, and they sell these metal can't basically containers. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Tractor Supply, but a lot of people use them for like dog food, and they are amazing for curing. And the reason is because they will hold in moisture, but they won't let things get overly moist or you get the wet grass smell basically. So like think about like preserving dog food, right? You don't want a lot of air necessarily, or anything else, chicken feed, it doesn't matter. But it allows it to breathe enough to where you're not going to get that negative effect. So that's a little secret right there, is those metal bins are crucial for curing proper flour. I used to use
Nice.
turkey bags too, obviously, but I've just found longer term storage, those metal bins work great. Obviously, if you have glass jars, that's the best. But yeah, on a big scale, those metal bins crush it.
I tried to find it. They're asking about it. Spell it again.
Behrens, Barons, and they're galvanized steel metal bins,
All right, let's see if I can't find this.
and they have tops, obviously.
Mhm. I am the
It's Barons, Behrens metalware.
okay, is this what we're talking here?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And they sell them, I think, up to like 50 gallons or something. They sell them pretty big. So
Okay.
those things work phenomenally well.
And so like this one in particular, if they were just to get, it says galvanized steel trash can. Is this maybe not the right one, or you
No,
still
it's
think that's
that's you. So if you go on their website, it's behrens.com. They have a bunch of
uh
different kinds. That's basically the style that you'll want. The one that I'm more talking about is the one on their website where like the dog food is. It has a handle. Um, you can. I guess they are also called trash cans, but it's not really a trash can. You know, it's a
oh yeah, yeah. When you go to their website, it's way classier.
yeah, totally.
Oh yeah. And so what about what numbers are we talking about? You talking about slow drying? So what RH are you at? What temp and how many days?
So usually when I'm drying, I'm at, around 60% humidity. Like I said, a week and a half to 2 weeks, and I'll monitor that. Um, but yeah,
And so in an emergency situation, like what should they look for? Is I always mold start at like what 63, 64 or something like
yeah,
that?
I mean, yeah, the thing with mold though is that you're not gonna grow mold unless you already have mold in the room. So like I've left stuff hanging for a long time, and um, yeah, I don't have mold in my environment. I also use a product called Better Air. Bo's testing it now, but what the Better Air does is it releases beneficial probiotics into the air at a 1 micron size. So I have this unit that goes next to my HVAC blower that pipes into it, and then has an emitter, and then it basically puts probiotics into an aerosol form, and it covers every surface in the room. And what it does is it eats the food that mold eats. Yeah, and mold spores are everywhere. You can't get rid of that, obviously. But what this does is this starves the mold out. So with that said, it's a great product, and it's great because it covers every surface because of the micron size that it goes out in. So Better Air, I think you can get it on betterair.com. I'll look up in a second, but that's one of those products that helps me a lot as well with curing. It's just bacillus, probiotics, not it's not anything harmful. It literally just competes with the mold or any mold spores.
Fascinating.
So
That's like whenever I hear great tech, it's always going back to nature. You know what I mean? Like the best insulation is like honeycombed exactly the way bees do it. The least amount of material, the maximum insulation rate, honeycomb. So whenever I hear it, it's like, oh, like the same thing. It's like it didn't make sense at first, where it's just like probiotic. What is it like? Because we think of it like as gut health sort of like things, but no, it's actually a positive microorganism that feeds on similar particulates in the air and outcompetes it. That's a fascinating
yeah,
use case. I hope that is a
I've
product that
I've tested it a lot, man. I mean, Bo's testing it now too, and it's the real deal as far as what it does, and
and so
it's
for people
better.
that watch, just because I always like to clarify, because almost everybody watching isn't OG like that. Bo is the guy that enables the jug dealers. He's the head jug dealer. So at 5/8 distribution, Bo's the guy. So if you guys like what they're doing at New Millennium, Silicium, fucking jug dealers, that's we got Bo to thank. So he ain't gonna ever see this, but thank you, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, he'll see if I send him the link. I'm sure he'll watch it. Bo's he's very
He's the man.
supportive.
But Bo is busy. Here's my impression of Bo. I'm doing business on the phone.
Oh,
Like
totally,
the
all day.
man is just business and phone. Like I've gone out to eat with him like twice, and I've been hanging out with him for a year.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they're selling 7 figures
Everything,
of product a month. I mean, everything
everything.
lights.
So like everything a high quality cannabis grow could need, from ruck fans to DLI lights and New Millennium nutrients. It's literally like, damn. Now they got the cocoa, the Cyatetics cocoa, which I haven't used. I'm still actually no, I did use it but it was before the chips came out. So it was the old blend. So yeah, I want to try the chip because I
The
remember
chips are awesome.
Jay Maestro from DGC fame. He's a hardcore fucking grower out of Florida and just one of the smartest dudes ever. And he used to always just say, it's like, man, that perlite, you don't need it. Cocoa drains fine. It's just hurting your CEC. And so when they came out with that, I was like, oh, dude, that's like what I've been waiting for. The drainage of perlite with the CEC of fucking cocoa, baby. Let's
Totally,
go.
and it's not that expensive. I mean, obviously I
It's
get it
essentially
cheaper, but it's
it's similar to Canna.
totally.
I'm a Canna guy, and so if you're using Canna, it's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, no, and Bo is one of those people that has been on the forefront of the industry forever. I mean, he was the first guy
Ever.
to bring HPS lights to the United States in the '90s. He's the real deal, and he formulates with Neil, and he's a co-owner of New Millennium, co-owner of Dutch Lighting, co-owner of obviously a bunch of other things, the
Bunch
exclusive
of other
distributor
stuff. Yeah.
for Plagrant in the US. So I mean, Bo's been around, dude. He knows some heavy hitters in the industry, and some big
Yeah, I
people. And
see. I just like to introduce the crew because as like I always sit. I'm fairly quiet on jug dealers. I'm there to like fucking ones and twos. I'm way more active on dude grows just with our chemistry, but those two just get going, and I just kind of sit back. But the one times I always do want to chime in because like when they say, "Oh, I was hanging with Phil," I know they're talking about Phil Haig, but no one else does, and so I always want to stop him and go, "Hey, let's explain who these people are, this cast of characters that we all think are legends that actually no one really knows about because they're not doing the whole cannabis media circuit all the time. I'm trying to introduce these names. So Bo from 5'8", that's who we're talking about. That's the Jug Father. They actually, Neil, in the comments, someone called Neil the Jug Father, and
Yeah.
I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
Neil's the Jug Father.
He is. Dude, Bo when he called me, he was like, "Bro, do you have that member berry cut?" And I'm like, "What member berry cut?" And he's like, "Oh man, we got this plant from, Ethos a while ago." And Mike, Mike at 5'8", was
Yes.
poured some hot nutrients on it or something and killed it. And I love Mike,
Oh,
he's just he's
Mike's the
obviously
man.
not
He's
not
the
a
least
grower.
grower.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, Bo is like, "Dude, can you hit up Colin and see if he still has that member berry cut?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Wow.
sure. I'll hit him up and we'll see, if we can get it back." But I'm sure Colin, doesn't have it. It's just one of those things. Ethos is doing so much in genetics right now and testing so many
Yeah.
different things. I'm sure he didn't keep the cut, but
One of
I was
my
like,
favorite people I've hung out with has been Fletcher from Archive,
"Oh
just
yeah,
because of the fucking like. As I was talking, like, as Gabe and he were talking, I was just kind of realizing, like, who has been all the we're talking about people getting raided and everything. We've lost so much of the best genetics. We probably lost like so much, and the fact that, like, you know, nothing wrong with the cakes and the cookies and everything, obviously, but all the old heads want that stuff, and we all talk about how we want it, but who's out there devoting their actual lives to preserving that
I
old
will
school
say
stuff?
Adam
Almost no
Adam has
one.
done a good job of that. Adam
Adam
Dunn,
Dunn
he
is,
has done
I
a
mean,
great job, dude.
Adam
He has a
Dunn,
lot of the old
I
shit.
voted Adam Dunn as the most interesting man in the world. When we sat down and talked with that guy for like 4 hours, all of a sudden we figure out, like, Robert Downey Jr. was your stepbrother for years. What?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here?
Dude,
Adam
Adam's
Dunn's like, oh,
interesting
and
for
then I,
sure.
I got on, I was working on a ship and I ended up in fucking Germany, and then I saw a sign for Rotterdam and I go there, and I read about Adam in high school in the cannabis, or in High Times cup lore. So when I met Adam, I was just like, dude, it's an honor, you son of a
I,
bitch.
I talked to him today and he was I told him we were doing this again and he's the thing with Adam is like a lot of people don't realize, man, he was on the forefront of the industry. Like he was the second wave basically. He started at Sensi Seeds. He worked at Sensi in like 1990. Ended up spinning off and starting TH Seeds with Doug in 1993. Had his hemp shop in Amsterdam. I think that opened in like 94, 95. And yeah, man. I mean, he knows a lot of people, but he's also seen it all, And his mom too. His mom Ace is like,
Shout out to his mom.
he is the coolest mom on earth, man. As far as
He
like
does.
he was
She
telling
dated
me,
Robert Downey Sr.
well,
Like,
dude,
Robert Downey Jr. was her stepson. How about that?
I have a photo of Adam and his mom when he's like, yeah, this is the era where people would come up to us and they would think, oh wow, you guys are dating because they were both like very similar age looking,
Yeah.
and it was funny because when they realized that was his mom, he says, it's pretty funny. He's like, yeah, like everyone was just trying to bang my mom in Amsterdam. So anyway, Ace is a G. It would be awesome to have her on Jug Dealers at one point. I know Jaron was saying that, but
That would
what's cool
be
about
sick.
Ace is like she enabled Adam to become what he became because she was in the scene of selling weed and being around weed all the time, to where Adam was brought up like that. And I'm excited because his son, Nick, Adam's son, is getting of the age now where he's selecting phenos and he's doing
Wow.
like
Why does that
grow.
make me, like, it makes me feel old? I
Dude,
have
I
a kid
know.
of my own. Yeah, for some reason here in Nick, I still, if you would ask me how old do you think Nick is, like, he's got to be like, what, 6 or 7 now?
No,
Oh,
he's old, dude. He's
oh,
like 12, I think, or like
crazy. Yeah,
11.
the
Yeah,
time is
but he's smart, dude. That kid is smart. I mean, he's in my Discord and he's like, you know, like, man, he's a smart kid for
yeah,
sure.
no, it's blowing my mind just watching the cannabis scene. When I first started hanging out with the 5'8" crew, I was the odd man out. I had to, like, give my load. It's like, I sold weed for years. I've fucking been a
Yeah.
grower. Ran an 18 lighter
How do I
until fucking
size up?
2019. Yeah, just letting them know, like, I'm not some suit in a blazer. Like, I'm one of you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the thing with like 5'8" and those guys is they're really humble for what they do. I mean, what they've done. Like Bo is super humble, dude. I mean,
Yeah, New Millennium is a family business. It's like a small like bit like when I found out like holy crap, this is like a tiny office. There's 5 of you. That's the whole organization. And then they know everybody so they can figure out whatever they need to figure out. But damn. Yeah, I
yeah,
love
I
and
mean,
shout out to Scotty Real Seam out there in the chat. I was hanging out with Scott's wife the other night, and she's sitting there, she's like watching, the murder porn that all the women watch, and fucking, she's sitting there like doing grow dots and everything. And I was like, shout out to all the cannabis wives and moms out there holding it down,
for
son.
sure, man. Yeah, and that's they keep things going for us. Like there's times where like Adam's wife, Cece, she's fucking awesome. I love Cece.
She's the best. Yeah.
She's
She's almost more recognizable now and now that Adam doesn't have the beard, I more see her first when I'm out at events. Oh, there's CC. It's like, oh, where's
yeah,
Adam?
yeah, totally. Yeah, no. Cece's the best. She's super nice and obviously is a great mother to Nick and the whole family's awesome, man. The mom, the wife, the kid, Adam obviously they're the best.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Like we always have a saying, check your weed privilege. And sometimes it's like I gotta check my friend privilege. Like, is that the same cup that like you and I reconnected at is where I met my now girlfriend. Like
Oh, no
literally just
shit.
a weird yeah, literally her
This year?
brother is her brother's
Oh,
a
cool.
grower. Fucking she was like, yeah, I don't know anything about the Dude Grow show, but I'll love to go to this cup. And then I just randomly met her and fucking next thing you know,
Hit it off.
I mean, it's been 6 months now, but we just hung out. Yeah, she just left today because she's from Kansas and fucking, so yeah, she's like only a few hours away and she just comes into Denver every other week to hang out. And yeah, the cup, dude, that was a great time.
Dude, the cup was one of the best times I had this year, and I keep telling Tops, I'm like, dude, I need those burrito tacos from that truck. Those were so good.
No, I didn't
Uh,
get any of
oh, they
those.
were bomb, dude. Just the people there, and like it reminded me of old school vibes, and like Scotty, if you're listening, like do not change it. Don't go bigger. Having it private, having it be like a very like chill homie hangout kind of where everyone who watches the show can meet each other. It's a vibe.
Oh
Like,
yeah. No,
once
they
you sell
couldn't
out,
change if they
it
wanted.
yeah,
They could. You know what the first Dude Grows Cup was? It was at the Cannabis Cup because they didn't think that the cup was like doing it right. So they started their own like dab station in the middle and they had like hundreds of people gathered. So the first DGC Cup was just fucking illegal. It straight up was. So the roots are like they're just like you. That's why we got to get you on the show over there because like they just are literally. There's a story about one of the his brother Trip, as we had referenced earlier, was talking to Mama Kush from Canada, and she's like, oh, I couldn't have brought any weed. Fucking, I had to go through a border, and Scott's like, you could have brought weed. That's or
for
Trip said
sure.
that rather. Like we are the no give a fuck crew, man. So yeah, and shout out, it's now Scott and I are just the entertaining. Scott writes the shows, I produce the shows, and Brett's the guy who does that. All me and Scott sit and take dabs while Brett gets tents and fucking lights and books shit. Him and Banner do all that shit. So yeah, and Brett's the man. So yeah, DGC Cup is first Saturday or second Saturday in June. So it's not official, but it's almost booked. So yeah, we're doing it again, Kyle.
Yeah, let's go, man. I mean, I had just a phenomenal time. So anybody who hasn't
Me
gone, you
too.
have to check it out. It's worth the trip out to the outskirts of Fort Collins.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
original meaning of DGC is don't get caught.
yeah, I love
That's how
that,
we're
man.
living.
Love that. And for
Hell
me,
yeah.
like, dude, it was like a throwback. I haven't been to an event like that in a long time, and uh, it was like being in heaven again as far as the industry goes. Because Canacon or any cannabis cup for the most part is you can't consume, and you have all these judges
Yeah.
who get judges boxes and decide. But having the people decide via tokens and voting, I think was the best idea they
I'll
could have
shout
had.
out too if you want to go. I'll probably go next year. The Emerald Cup had moved. It was in Northern California, and then it went to central Northern California of San Francisco, and so it was legit. Like when I came back, they're like, "How was the cup?" I was like, "Prohibition has fallen, dude." Like inside of the event space, that it was very commercial. The event space, you know how those things are, but you could, as long as you weren't smoking joints or blunts, it was like permitted. And outside of like, it was just you're standing in line smoking a fucking giant stogie of fucking weed, just waiting for a burrito. I was smoking like a little oney thing. JR had this big oney that was like a giant fucking bowl on it, and this cop rolled up. And because me and JR and Uncle Jim and Soup the Gardener were all hanging out, we're having fun. And a cop rolled up and he's just like, "Hey, what's going on, guys? Like, seems like you're having fun. I'm bored. Figure I'd say hi." And I was like, hit this shit. And I was like, it's so crazy that like we could be friends now. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the pipe can't be in frame, but let's take a picture. And so I have a picture of me and this fucking San Fran or Oakland, California cop, big, good looking California cop, just chong in the air, and he was stoked. And I was like, dude, prohibition has fallen. It feels good. And that's the same place I saw that make weed illegal again shirts. And so I was like, come on, y'all, like this is pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I think back in the day, like Adam helped organize the sixth High Times Cannabis Cup in 1993. And like back in the day, it was super,
Jesus.
super cool, man.
And
But
didn't they
now
fuck him over? Like he told a great story about like they tried to fuck him over out of money, and he had to like hold them hostage to like get the
Adam's
money
the
back.
king of getting fucked over, dude. He's too nice and helps too many people with stuff. And then, his business sense has gotten a lot better, but he's more of an artist than he is a businessman. You know what I mean? So
Don't I
that's
know that life? That's why I respect the fuck out of you, because I can master all the creative sides, like of like the things that like, but the idea of getting on the phone to China to like order things, that's not
yeah,
happening. So
yeah.
you're the
Business
total
is
package,
something.
my friend.
And I don't know. I don't try to be like the jack of all trades, but I realize like, you have to do as much stuff in house as you can. And I come from a family that does a lot of business. So I was like, when I was growing up, it was kind of like, Bo, like I'd be in the car and my dad would be on the phone constantly,
Wow,
just all the time. And I would just be a sponge for pretty much everything that he was doing and saying. And
that's
yeah,
so cool.
it's, business obviously is something I'm very good at. But at the same time, I'm not like traditionally trained in it. Same with design. Like I, just was on Photoshop a bunch as a kid, and like Tops uses Canva, and I give him shit all the time. Like, dude, just you like learn to
As
use
well, you
Photoshop.
should.
Um,
All you people that use Canva and CapCut, get out of my face with your
Yeah,
bullshit.
I mean, and it's funny because like you try to export a file from Canva and into a Photoshop file, and all the layers are messed up and nothing's organized, and you have to like go through
Yeah.
for as long as it takes to or actually properly organize things. And yeah, I don't know. I try to do and learn as much stuff as I can and get as good at it as I can without going overboard and making that my only focus. So
Well, I was at one time, before I became a professional video producer, I was a professional graphic artist. I made posters and stuff. And I gotta say, dude, like the outside, like that's to be expected, right? Like any schmuck is gonna come up with, not any schmuck, but like this isn't like where I really came. This is where I came.
yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
oh, look
And
at the inside of this box. Look at he's got all of the strains with the different logos and everything. This is beautiful, my friend. Like
thank you.
legit respect. The fact that you grow the herb, process it into oil, package it into these freaking cute little containers that everybody can identify immediately
Well, and did
inside of this.
the labels too, man. I mean, figuring out, so the Tops can attest to this. We had a guy printing the labels in Florida, and I'm very, very specific in terms of file size. And like, when you're doing labels, you can't, unless you're using Illustrator, you can't scale them necessarily. So right before DGC Cup, I was like, fuck, I need more labels because I need to make a bunch of boxes. And we ordered from this guy. I'm not going to mention who it is and blow him up, but we ordered from him. And dude, the labels were like blown out, like not correct, not the right size. And this was like a day or two before the cup. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, dude, like in the file name is the size that you printed in. Like it's that specific. And having to measure the jars and having to format the design to a specific size label. Like I have over here, hold on. I have this is, we're coming out with a lemonade. So we're collabing with
Yeah, I want to try this,
Daydreams.
man.
And I had to design a label for this bottle, which is a 16-ounce bottle that the lemonade's going to be in. But, I was even telling Tops, I'm like, dude, this is very specific in terms of having to make sure that the file that even before you do anything, that the exact label size that it's going to be so that you can format the file for print to do properly. And, Tops does a lot of stuff on Canva. It's very hard to do CMYK format on Canva. Everything's RGB. So as far as the
Fucking
design,
color
man,
space here, people.
yeah,
Get in there.
it's as far as the design's concerned, it's very specific, man. It's it's one of those things. A lot of people, like, even if they like, the beauty of what we do with Terpicana is that we take the time to actually make it proper versus saying, hey, we have 20 strains, designer, can you
You know
figure
what?
this out
It,
for us,
it just crosses my mind though. It's like Turpicana lemonade. Now you're skating on thin
Yeah,
ice.
yeah. Well, it's a collaboration, so I mean,
Okay.
it'll come through. But what's cool about the lemonades is that first of all, Daydreams, lemonade does a phenomenal job. It's all real lemons. It's all, I think I talked about in the last one, but it's all proper. And what we're trying to do with the collab is make sure that the strains that we use correlate to the flavors. So like the peach
Oh,
maraschino will
interesting.
be correlated with
Yeah.
the peach lemonade that we come out with. And
Hmm.
the Sunday driver will be correlated to like more of a grape flavor. And there's a lot of different
How does
flavor
the
combinations that
how
we
is
have.
the infusion? Do you infuse the powder? Do you
There's no
dehydrate
powder. It's all
rosin?
there's no powder. It's all
Well, what is
live.
it? How's the infusion then?
It's
Well, but
all
good point. Yeah, no powder. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
live, decarbed live resin into his lemonade. So, um, that's pretty much it. And he has all the flavors down. He has all the formulation down. He's even done a
How do
test
you get
bottle.
it? I mean, I can only like I guess you emulsify it into the
He
lemonade.
Yeah, pretty much. And he was talking about, not being able to do massive batches, but we figured that out as well. So the real key is making sure that it's properly done. Um, and it's not like Keef Cola back in the day where you're drinking a soda and you get keef in your mouth because there's actual keef in the soda, which doesn't, it's not doing anything anyway.
Is that
So
right? I've only drank a few Keef Colas. I don't think I ever got anything
no,
sandy.
because they switched to CO2. This is like 2012, dude,
Ah,
or
ah.
2011 that they were putting out actual keef in their soda, and it was absolutely disgusting. It was like, you drink it and you'd have keef all over your teeth, and it was a complete novelty. So no, they switched when they switched in probably 2013 or 2014 to using CO2 oil, and from then on out, it was good. My only issue with Keef Cola is that it's not carbonated enough for me.
Right.
You know?
And no, I was partial. My friend worked there just as a packaging department, and anytime they had dinged up cans, they'd bring them home. So I was a little partial to the root beer. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. No, and the root beer is good. Like I said, it goes flat and um it's not for me it should be way more carbonated. So if you weren't around back in the day, yeah, Keef Cola got their name because they actually put keef in their soda and it was disgusting. It was gross.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I just missed it. I got here. I was spending a lot of time here. Like I was coming here like every other month, all through 2014. I was one of the kids that stood in line for January 1st. So fucking, I was right there. So it's probably like the 500th person in America to buy legal weed, and that was like my birthday present. My birthday's January 2nd. So I was like, oh, let's go on fucking legalization day, dude. That's what I'm doing for my birthday. And I fucking fell in love with the fucking city, but I didn't take up roots until 2015. So I missed the backpack days. I missed a lot of the cool. I got to experience a lot of the cool stuff, but yeah, it
Yeah, you
was
got in right at the right time. I mean, it's, before then it was like very clicky, lots of crews. You had different people running, different strains, and if you were running them, you selling them, you would have a problem. It's just the way that it was. Now, I will say about the lemonade, they're going to be high dosage. I believe the lemonades that we're putting out are 500 milligrams each. So it's not a
And what volume?
16 ounces.
Holy ball sacking Jesus.
Yeah. But the whole key is that you can drink some of it and then, it's not carbonated, obviously. So you can
I mean,
finish
that
it
is like
later.
the equivalent of like a cannabis bar. It's like, pour me a shot. It's like, clang. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm feeling good.
For sure. And we want people to get bang for their buck. We don't want people to buy, like, I think someone was saying that, let's see, who was it? Yeah, mailman was saying that they have 5 to 10 milligram beverages. And I mean, that's just bullshit, dude. That's like, soccer mom shit. And
Some people, though, like I do know some dudes that are hardcore stoners that edibles rack them. And
like,
shout out to you, Standing Fox. Welcome to the GRAMBOlogue, buddy. I see you.
yeah, Bo was saying that the edibles that I dropped off were phenomenal, and he didn't get to try as many as he'd like to because everyone was eating them.
Yeah,
But
they didn't make me, they made me an interesting high. I didn't get like I do a lot of rosin gummies from Oleo, and then the dialed in. They don't do medical anymore, so that's why I do the Oleo. And fucking those give me a very plastered high where I'll get lost while jogging in my own neighborhood,
yeah,
So
of
they didn't
course.
get me super like tripped out high. But what I will say is that for the amount of punch that you pack into one gummy, dude, they taste really goddamn good. No bullshit. Lee gave me some of the blueberry, and they were phenomenal. You gave me some of the is it the cupcake flavored?
I think it was orange cream.
So I had the ones that had a cupcake on it, the little
Yeah,
icon,
that was orange
or
orange
donut,
cream.
or
Art,
oh,
what
is
was
that
it?
what
It was
it's,
orange
it
cream,
tasted like?
probably.
It tasted vanilla. It tasted like vanilla-y. I can't remember.
It was
I
probably the
kept the
cream in it.
package. I kept the
Yeah.
package. I don't know where it's at. It's like a souvenir. I collect. I don't like collect hardcore, but I kind of collect cannabis like legalization, like I have an empty box just as like a member, like, so I have like exit bags, like what some of the early exit bags, and like old school packaging. Like I collect all sorts of cannabis memorabilia,
I have
of the
I have an
modern day.
OG. Hold on, let's show you this real quick. 1 second. I have an OG sticker. Hold on.
For a walk.
So this is all old, like, early
Nice.
early cannabis stickers. So
Yeah,
like
I got those.
greenest green in Boulder, if anyone's from Boulder.
Nice.
Green Dream in Boulder, the Dream
Chiba
Dabber
Chew
sticker.
back. I have those Chiba Chew stickers. That's back when Chiba Chew was gangster.
Yep. So I mean, this is like, kind of my old sticker, the
And
old
then
native roots.
Incredibles Edibles, that's the reason that I met you. The
Yeah, let's see.
You
Sorry, my
and
camera's all
Telly.
fucked up, but
No,
yeah.
all good. You and Telly had fucking came in, and you were the new extractors for the Incredibles
Yeah,
extracts.
Telly's a G, dude. I love Telly. He's doing a lot more music stuff now. Gabe knows Telly well, obviously. Telly, so to be honest with you, he was a part of Tropicana when we started it. But things with him, with his own personal life and whatnot, kind of became, I want to say, like a distraction from what we were doing. And he was definitely around in the beginning when we started this, and I got nothing but love
It's
for Telly.
hard to serve two masters. That's why when a lot of people are like, oh, you're not doing as much comedy these days. It's like, dude, I'm like, I kind of found this surprise home in this cannabis media game where I just fit in like a fucking glove. And I was like, I get to entertain people, I get to make jokes, I get to educate them. It's like it's tough if I wanted, it sucks so much of your creativity. So it's no disrespect to anybody. He's a great musician, and he does super cool stuff. He does after hour party scenes in Denver, and it's like I couldn't imagine as a single man a pimper. He's a shy little bastard, so he ain't throwing game the way that fucking maybe someone like I might if I
Yeah,
were
or
like.
me, yeah,
But I'm
for
also
sure.
very shy. I'm shy until I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and Telly, I mean, he goes way back, dude. He was, running everything in Incredibles with Derek, and was part of designing the original Incredible Extractor. And yeah, I mean, he's the thing with Telly is I think that he has also seen the way the industry's gone, and it really makes him unhappy. Like obviously, dude, like Incredibles was one of the best companies putting out extracts at one point. Like their orange soda was phenomenal. Their sour band 09 was phenomenal. And they had a great cultivation. They had a great team. And then I think, Telly saw the downfalls of greed and, how people will sell out or, do certain things for money. And, it tainted his view on the industry a little bit. But yeah,
Well,
he's very talented guy, and like I
yeah,
said, he's one of my very good friends.
you knew Incredibles was gonna go the way, they're gonna do the whole sell like that. It was, it's just that's what makes like a Green Dot Labs, even though like in your opinion they might have dropped quality a little bit. They never they never sold out. It's
Yeah,
still
they
fucking
went bigger and got investors, and I think when Dave and Alana just ran it themselves, they had way more quality control. And the same kind of with Incredibles. I mean, Bob, the founder, Bob Ashino, he was uh, very focused. And then, Incredibles got big, man. They, were putting out a lot of chocolate, and they were, the extracts were doing great. And I think he saw a point to sell it. And, they went under, not because of, someone taking over, but I think they just killed the whole brand and merged it with another one. So, yeah.
and then right at the wrong time competition came in, like I'm sure you remember Coda. When Coda came in, it was like, oh, the next big thing is here, and now they're gone.
Yeah, no, for
It's
sure.
just
And there's a lot of those companies that are still around that are great. Like I mentioned, Harmony Extracts, Jeremy Johnson, he's killing it. Um,
Jeremy's the man. Yeah, we got to interview him and Telly and fucking
on the
P
BHO
Bud
panel, right?
of or not P Bud, Kind Bill. And how
Kind Bill,
cool is
yeah.
it? No, to Kind Bill is what a crazy story. Essentially, a lot of people could have parallel thought, but credit doesn't go to the man who invented it. Credit goes to the man who showed it to the world. And essentially, Kind Bill is the Alexander Graham Bell of live resin.
Yep.
And so
Him
I was
and
hanging with
Giddy Up.
Giddy Up.
Yep.
Is
The
that another
found
Florida crew?
I don't think he's from Florida. Giddy Up created Emotech originally.
Okay. Yeah,
So
and it's funny. Like this is the things that I always say about the cannabis media game these days. I think it's important that we document what's happening right now because goddamn well fucking Denver 9 News isn't going to be talking about like where strains came from and like the history of cannabis. If they do, they're going to be interviewing us because it's fucking. I find it very like I always look at Adam as like the Gen 2 of like the cannabis like thing. You had Ed and all like the old heads like back in the day were like the Gen 1 guys. And then Adam is like your Gen 2. And then I look at like us, Gabe, Jaron, Scotty, dude, like all the crew, everybody. The Mama Kush is in the chat right now. She's got an awesome show, Home Grow the Community out of Canada. And like everyone, this is the crew that when fucking Ken Burns Jr. does the cannabis documentary, it's going to be all of us. It's going to be Gabe and you. It's
for
like
sure,
fucking,
yeah. I
this is
mean,
Gen 3 of cannabis
you got to preserve the history, man, and
existence.
that's like Jair has the cannabis museum in, I think it's in Amsterdam. Might be
Yeah, yeah.
somewhere outside
I'm
of it,
pretty
but
sure I think he lives right there in the heart. So I imagine.
and he has a ton of old memorabilia from the like everyone going somewhat legal. And yeah, I mean, like this stuff has to definitely be preserved. And a lot of the names that I mentioned, people probably have no idea who I'm talking about, but they're real true players. And everyone knows each other. It's like Adam was saying, uh most of the people who have made it big have worked with Adam to get where they're at. And it's not like him tooting his own horn like Scott Reach, Rare Dankness. Adam put him on in the late 90s in Amsterdam. And, Rare Dankness became absolutely massive. That House of Dankness, and that was a big nightmare. But
Is it still going
Colin
on?
Gordon.
I live on the
Yeah,
south
yeah.
side now.
Yeah, House of Dankness is going on.
When that opened, I lived in Green Valley Ranch here in Colorado. So like on the east side when fucking House of Dankness opened up, I was like their first 20 customers, dude. I was there like day one. I wasn't in the game in any way back then. Fucking so I wasn't like, yo, Scott, it's Grambo. Grambo was nobody back then. So yeah, I loved cracking open. They nitrogen sealed
Then
the
yeah,
cans and
nitrogen
shit.
sealed cans, yeah, like 14er does. A lot of companies ended up doing that. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I mean, I get it for the
No.
commercial market, but it's a cool it's a cool feature, I think, for sure. I wouldn't personally do it. If I was to sell commercial, flower, it would be all in mason jars, and I would put the extra effort into it. That's just
That's
me though,
hilarious.
and I would get childproof tops and everything to do it right, just because you can't compare. I mean, you crack a mason jar where flour's been sitting in for a while, and it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't dry out. It doesn't go bad. Same with extracts, man. Like a lot of people store their extracts in weird ways, and for me,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
mason jar guy. Like I have buddies that
Yeah.
store their extracts in metal 5-gallon buckets, and just fill them up. And for me, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna individually do all mine in jars.
Yeah.
I don't fuck
And
around.
those jars are cool, man. They definitely all your products fucking sing for sure.
Well, and just
It's
wait. There's
a
a lot more coming down the line here, man. There's a lot of new flavors that we're going to be releasing here in the next month or so. And like I said, I just built a new lab. I designed it and built it myself. And
And so
so
what about is when people are going towards like a lot of the home growers obviously aren't going to do BHO. So in a more extraction way, is there anything just like to keep on the topic of drying and curing, like anything that goes into extracts that make like do you harvest early for extracts? Do you do any of that sort of stuff? Do you
So yeah,
do
I
you
mean,
like looser stuff?
depends on the kind of extract, obviously. I mean, if you're doing BHO, no, you want to get it to a point where it's just like the flower. In
Really?
the sense of, yeah, I mean, dude, there's no reason to. Now with rosin, it's a totally different ball game because a lot of people are, I guess, miseducated on rosin. They think that, oh, the rosin's white or it's super light, it's better. That's not the case. Obviously, that's what the market determines right now. But I know a lot of the people are waking up who are heavy rosin smokers to the fact that the white rosin is just premature flower that's pulled early and then pressed. And that's why it's lighter versus a little bit darker. Like I have some rosin that's like light tan that was taken 70 days, and I got some to a buddy, and he said he's a heavy rosin smoker, and he said it's some of the best rosin he's ever had, as far as the high and everything else, the taste. The other thing too is like with BHO, fresh frozen, at least live resin, it doesn't really matter. You want to make sure your terps are good. Obviously, you want to make sure that your tricads are developed. But other than that, I mean, there's no reason to pull it early at all. And if you're doing like trim run, which we're coming out with a more budget version of what we do now, that's strain specific, but not fresh frozen, just for the people who can't afford it. And that you want to make sure that your trim is preserved properly. So like when I say, you hang dry to where you're not rushing it, or you're not, going crazy with a shitty machine trimmer like a twister, or anything that's usually anything that uses a barrel. Like Green Bros does great quality trim run, phenomenal. Like doesn't fuck the trim up. I know Apothecary Extracts, Brent over there, he only will run machine trim that's from a Green Bros. So, and I've ran a lot of trim in my life, and I don't like doing it necessarily in the sense of smoking for myself. I obviously prefer fresh frozen, but when I can get a good quality trim that smells like the strain and was preserved properly and frozen properly right after it was trimmed, then I usually will smoke it. And a lot of people have old trim that they want me to process, and I usually just don't even fuck with it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will. Don't get me wrong, but like I would never sell it. I would just give it back to him and say, hey, pay me for the time.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times people will take percentage of the stuff or just get paid, and that's the sort of thing where it's like I didn't. It's just pay.
I'll take a percentage if it's good stuff, right? Like, so like if
Yeah.
you have really high quality flower and you have really high quality trim and it's up to my standards, then yeah, I will do a split, toll processing essentially. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's
They
just
10. What do you think about once you chop, how fast you got to get it in the freezer? Tops told
yeah,
me for 10 minutes or so is what,
I'd
or
say yeah,
someone
as
told me
quick
10
as you
minutes.
can, man, because the oxygen will degrade it and it'll, you want those terps to stick around. Um, and like I said, if you're hand trimming, get a trim. I think they're trim bins, the ones that sit on your lap that you can kind of put your arms in. Get a bag under it, and I usually when it's, I'd say a quarter of the way full, I'll put it in the freezer. I just try to preserve everything for extracts when I'm doing that. A lot of people just don't care. They're like mixing trim and everything. I'm like, dude, my deep freezer in my house right now is filled to the brim with all my indoor trim. And as soon as I trimmed it, I threw it in there, and you can open a bag and it smells like the flower.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny. Like if you've never, because it would never occur to like a normal human, like before extraction, to freeze their bud. And so I had never done it before my last live rosin run. Fucking, and I took this emergency that was just this oil gushing, fucking awesome plant. And I put it in the fucking freezer, and I couldn't believe how weird of a consistency it was. It really like it shrivels down and kind of like all the calyxes and shit kind of shrivel in. It just kind of shrouds itself in this little cocoon of bud. That's an interesting kind of. It was a neat thing. I never played with frozen weed before. Like it's weird. It really holds its juices well.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like, fresh frozen. That's why I love it too. And someone asked about yield. That's a good question. So, with dry trim, you're talking for really good material, anywhere from 15 to, upwards of 30% yield on dry weight for trim. Depending on what you're dealing with, depending on the strain, that's what you're returning as far as extract. As far as fresh frozen goes, again, depends on the strain, depends on the tech. I'd say anywhere from 3 to 8% on return on frozen weight. So, like for example, when I say tech, like a lot of people when they're running fresh frozen, even rosin, they won't break the bud up. So when you're extracting, you're basically with butane, you're melting the trike heads. You're getting everything to where, and it's different with rosin. Obviously, with rosin, you're knocking the trike heads off and then
The
filtering them.
BHO is like a dissolving of the cuticle head, whereas
Correct. So
pushing is squishing it.
yeah, well, just washing it, you're knocking it off with ice or frozen, and then you're filtering them with different micron size
You're
bags.
knocking the
So
heads off, but then retaining that cuticle that's that
so
wax that the lipids inside of the rosin that everyone alludes to is from that cuticle membrane. Eh?
Well, and with fresh frozen, the key, and Cannabis Vibe said 8% is amazing, and yeah, I mean it's honestly almost unheard of as far as yield. I mean, I say that because I have had strains that do that, and they're strains that are pushed properly that really yield. But the key is with BHO and fresh frozen is that you have to grind up the frozen buds. And if you don't, your yields are going to be way lower. And the reason is because you have all those terps and trikes that are inside the bud too. So you're growing, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9, and you're getting basically the bud going over itself and all the stuff that's on the inside. If you don't grind it, you're losing. You're just pissing it away. So one thing I'll do, like with Adam, for example, is like if he has a crop that he's doing for seeds, you can actually run fresh frozen with seeded bud, and it preserves the seeds. It actually makes them more likely to germinate. And what it replicates at cryogenic temperature is the winter freezing, basically, that you experience, like the winterization of the seeds. So a lot of people don't know that, but if you're a breeder, uh, being able to actually get an extract off of your product while having viable seeds too, is the only way to go. And that's basically a secret that Adam and I will do, where he'll run seed crops and then we'll blast them. And those I have to break those up by hand and be very careful on with the seeds and everything
What's
else.
what is the difference that is it is there danker buds
In
better
terms of
washer
no,
or
so
like
you
better
can't you
blasters?
can't do it with rosin. The reason you can't do it with rosin is because it's water. With butane, it it doesn't affect the seed at all. With water, when you try to dry it out, they can grow mold or do a bunch of things. But with the cryogenic temperature and the pressure of the extraction, what you do is you break up the buds very carefully, if at all, with seeds, and put it in a filter sock, put it into the column and run it. And what you do after is then you take the sock and you put it on a drying rack. So like, the wet drying racks that they have that hang from the ceiling that, you trim your bud wet or whatever, you'll empty the sock out into that and then dry everything. To where then you take it and you put it through your seed sifting machine that, there's a lot of them out there, basically uses a vacuum and it pulls all the plant material out while dropping the seeds. And you're able to get extract off of seeded crops where, if you don't have someone who does butane, then you can't do that. So it's a
Hmm.
huge benefit for breeders. If, there's any breeders listening, like, the most breeders are like, fuck, I can try to smoke the flower that, I dried my buds, got the seeds out. And now I have all this like basically shake and ground up material that, I was
Right.
breaking up the buds and they're trying to
Otherwise,
smoke it. But
fairly dank bud. Having never smoked like heavily seeded weed, does it have any other kind of effects on the extracts?
so it's a little, I mean, obviously most of the energy is going towards the making the seeds. So like
Right.
you're not getting as much of a yield necessarily. Not that it's super low. Um, but no, I mean, and if you're running any kind of filtration, so you're running like center discs or you're running like, very light CRC or anything like that, it will absorb or, basically eliminate the seed oil that you would experience. So yeah, no, it's kind of a secret tech. There's a few people who've done it, and it's just one of those things, man. Like if you're trying to get the most out of your product, that's what you do as a breeder. And I don't know many other breeders necessarily who are doing it. Adam doesn't do it by any means with all of his crops, but we'll definitely, occasionally do it, and he'll have more hash than he knows what to do with as far as consuming. He'll be set for a while.
I think he's pretty well set, no matter how the cards
Well, and
fold.
he invented some crazy stuff. Like he invented the hash hole. He invented like I have a picture of Adam I can send you if you want to show it real quick on the show of him dry sifting hash and like I want to say like 20 something years old. Um, so there's a lot of history. I mean, Adam goes way back in hash, and he actually, obviously prefers BHO over anything else. Um, he likes rosin. I just did a bunch of rosin for him, and like here, check that out. I don't know if you can show that on the show. I sent it to you on Instagram.
Yeah, grab it. So what do we got here?
So that's
Yeah,
Adam
Adam done.
sifting hash at like 20 something years old.
Wow. And so this is around
It's like
pre
90.
Amsterdam,
Oh no, that's
or is
when he
this?
was in. I was in
And
Amsterdam.
so this is Hash Museum era.
Oh, dude, yeah, this is. I mean, you can see how young he looks too. Like he's, kind of. He's very, very young there. But that's, how they used to do it back in the day. So
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's seen it
crazy.
all. He still does dry sift hash when he has time, but yeah, he doesn't have much time nowadays. He's too busy breeding and, you know, dealing with his family and things like that. So
Tops is just like don't show Adam, he'll get you got.
right, yeah, Adam's shadow banned on all platforms. Adam in
Yeah.
1946, yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. Well, fuck, man, we're coming up on 2 hours, brother. We fucking
Killed
this
it
is out.
again,
This
yeah.
this is another one. Yeah, you're gonna
Another one
have
in the
to be
books.
be in contention for my round three, and I'm gonna come up and hang with you one of these days.
Dude,
Before,
we got to do a show from here at one point. That would be epic,
yeah, I
or do some
fucking
content with the lab and the the grow and everything else that's going on here. I mean, it's
Will you
definitely
be coming
special.
up to cultivate next week by chance?
For the seed event, or what's going on
It's
there?
like no, it's like whatever I can't remember the showdown, the cultivate
I might
showdown.
be, dude. I have to go see Tops, so and we're building out his garage soon, so we gotta
Cool. Well, yeah, next
figure it out.
Saturday is Bo and 5'8" sponsors it, and so I'll be there taking pictures with
Oh
Gabe.
yeah. I should be there actually.
Okay, hell yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Well,
So
then if I don't see you then I'll catch you when we fucking you either spin through 5'8" or I
I'll
come up
be
there, man.
so I'm coming to see Bo in 2 weeks. Not this week, but I think next week. Bo said Wednesday he'll be there, some date like that, and we'll figure it out. But other than that, I do need to get on Dude Grows with Scotty and Tops and run that
Yes.
as well. I know that's a long time coming. Tops did the last one without me, so
Yeah,
I'm
dude, it's
pumped.
fucking it's on like Donkey Kong, man. I love that now I got like all these dudes got dudes they know from back in the day. I got some dudes I know from back in the day
And
too.
fuck yeah, dude,
So,
we do. We know a lot of people, man. That's the way, this is a community. So, and
hell
there's a
yeah.
lot
And
of
I
new
wanna
people coming in too. Like a lot of the guys who watch this and watch DGC and or Dude Grows and
yeah.
watch Jug
Dialed
Dealers are
in
all
gummies was a DGC product. They fucking were hardcore DGC. They fucking submitted to the cup, then they created dialed in and yeah, fucking Frosty McNuggets of Denver. Awesome. He makes really awesome fucking extracts. I love his GMO. I'm a GMO like nut. I love
GMO.
Jaren's
Oh yeah,
GMO.
yeah.
Like love that GMO, that oniony
I do
yum.
too, for sure.
So
It's a
fucking
little played out for me now, but I definitely am a GMO fan. I used to smoke
well,
the shit out of it.
I eat the same wing place every other fucking day. I eat the same fucking 9 things my whole life. I never get sick of the things I love, and goddamn, I love that GMO.
Yeah,
So
man.
for everyone that was listening earlier, we kind of touched on it that mainly you guys keep to social media. But for any of you guys that do want to get any of this Turpicana stuff, whether it's the actual Turpicana boxes or just some of the different runs and like lemonade and all sort of stuff and all sorts of other stuff like yeah
We
they
have a
do
lot
rosin
coming
over the
too.
Globfather, like Tops is out there. So for anyone that wants to get in touch with you and you do cross border type action, so if you guys are in other places, things can be figured out. If those people want to connect you, how do they find you, Kyle?
So at Turpicana Extracts on Instagram, send us a DM and we'll get you taken care of. Like I said, we have a lot of products. We have a lot of stuff coming down the line. So, um, I'm sure, mention that you saw us on here and we'll take extra good care of you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, he's good people. You guys can trust this guy. Him and Tops, they're my closest friends here in the cannabis game, and I love getting to know you more, man. I didn't know how much like I knew you as an awesome fucking grower, an awesome extract artist, but the idea that like I pride myself as a renaissance man. I can do lots of shit and I'm fucking self-taught on all of it. And it's rare that I meet someone that is my equal or even my better. And you are that, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I got a lot of respect for you too. I would do a podcast if I had time, but I enjoy being
Well,
on here. And yeah, I also
yeah.
like sharing knowledge too. Like I think I said on the last one, I'm not a gatekeeper of knowledge. I try to help people and, you know, tell them what works
You
for
know, it
me.
does
And
us no good because the people
yeah,
who are gatekeepers aren't taking in much new tech. You know, you got to give it away. The game, we're learning a lot about cannabis growing and production here in the last 15 years. And so you got to catch up. You
yeah,
got to,
for sure. Yeah,
you got
and
to play
and
nice in the community. It's better that way.
and it's a small world, man. I mean, what like I said, it's try to help all your friends because there's not a lot of people in this right now, and I think a lot of the people who are in it know each other and try to help each other as well. So, someone asked, how any other way besides IG. Yeah, you can hit us up on Telegram as well at Taking Tops. Hit him up and he'll get you taken care of. It's
And what was that?
TAKIN Tops.
What was the email again to get a hold of
Yeah,
you?
and if you want to email us, it's Turpicana at proton.me, me. It's Proton Mail, but proton.me.
And yeah, when you said it, like it sounded silly when you said it, but Proton is like one of the more secure encrypted email services, so it's solid.
Yeah, we try to take security and that kind of stuff seriously for your sake and our sake. Obviously, like we're trying to help people get access to good, really good quality stuff, and that's pretty much it. But at the same time, I don't want Google spying on us and everything else.
This
So
is true.
you
Yes.
can only do
Oh
so
yeah.
much, man. We're here for the people. That's what it comes down to. For the money, the money is what it is. It's I like I said, that we did this for fun and to really give people good quality live resin when the market is plagued by, what people call live resin, like whole melt extracts, which is just trim run CRC bullshit with fake flavoring added. So yeah, most people
Yes.
haven't had real live resin, and I think that's why a lot of people prefer rosin, is because anything they've had that's called live resin uh, is junk. It's just trash.
Well,
So
I'm here to tell you guys it's not. You just got to know the right people, and I'm
totally.
glad to know you, Kyle. So yeah, thanks, man. And we're gonna get we'll get a round 3 one of these days. This is
Yeah,
it was
let's
just
do
it's
it.
too easy just to knock it out, baby.
And I want to film some content for the next one that we can show on the show too, so people can see the grow and everything else we got going on.
Hells yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Appreciate everyone for watching. Thanks so much for being here. Hope you guys have a great
Fuck
Sunday
yeah.
night.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next Sunday. And so, like I always say, hit that subscribe button. Sharing is caring. The most important thing you can do for all cannabis content creators: share their videos. What I always say: roll this video up, pass it to a friend. That's what's up. So, thank you guys. Appreciate you, and we'll see you on Tuesday for Jug Dealers, and on Wednesday for Dude Grows. So, peace out, everybody.
We're dropping knowledge on Grambo.